This is a review of the 2016 Mazda MX-5, formerly known as the Miata. I hope you'll find this review useful and interesting. This 25-year-old car got a total makeover for 2016, what Mazda calls the Kodo design language. The designer of this car seems to have blurred the words curvy and beautiful together with a beautiful result. Just look at these fenders, they're amazing. The bulky rear end and the low slung front end immediately say sports car. No doubt about that. And of course, to answer the question how much trunk space, well, here it is, there isn't any. The Mazda info sheet tells us that this car is $35,000, except I can't build one like this for under $40,000. So at $40,000, it certainly isn't a value. When making this car, Mazda adopted a gram strategy to make this car weigh 2,332 pounds according to Google, which is kind of crazy. Inside, Mazda does what it can. It does feel like a $35,000 interior here, but not a cent more. As with all new cars, there isn't a lot of noise, vibration, or harshness, and the touch points are okay. The steering wheel is a little bit thinner than I thought it would. However, the steering is very heavy and the brakes are not that bitey. The optional front Recaro seats are unbearably bolstered. Road noise is acceptable in city driving with its compliant suspension. However, on the highway it feels like a motorcycle. As with all these cars, you feel the money when you're on the road. The MX-5's lightweight gives it license to have a 155 horsepower engine with 148 pounds of torque. It feels pretty fast. It does 8.8 in the city, 6.9 on the highway, 6.5 with the automatic. All in all, I felt it was an excellent match with this car. Here are my thoughts on the road. Hello car lovers. In the 2016 Mazda MX-5, formerly known as the Miata, for those of you who are old enough, this car has bucked the trend, and today cars are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and this car is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's kind of interesting that I'm driving around here in the city, and the first thing that I'm struck by is how compliant the suspension is. I'm not saying it's a mid-size car. However, it's not unenjoyable. It's not unenjoyably jarring. This car, since it's so light, Mazda can get away with putting a small engine. It really has a 2-liter, I think 155 horsepower engine, which is unheard of today for cars with sports intention. I'm going to show you right now. Take this curve really hard and it feels really light on its feet. I can actually play with it. I'm wiggling in a curve and there's no problem. That's the 50-50 weight balance, the low center of gravity. However, on the highway, now it feels like I'm going at highway speeds. I'm really going 70 kilometers an hour. That's really funny. That's noisy. I thought the FRS was noisy. This is the noisiest car I have ever been in. Like, on the highway, it's kind of crazy. The top is up. Clearly not a daily driver. I don't think Mazda was bragging that it was a daily driver. However, I can confirm it to you. It isn't. This is a weekend toy. So how does it fare as a weekend toy? I wouldn't do the long distance romps. I think more than 2 hours, your head's gonna hurt from all this noise. However, the classic drive up north for an hour and a half, twisties, sounds pretty good, or a sunny day going out with friends. The transmission is incredible. I think it's wonderful. It has a wonderful notchy mechanical feel, but you don't have to force it in. It's just perfect. The clutch is of a wonderful lightness, however not buttery light. It's got a clear friction point you feel when you're lifting up the clutch. Very, very good. Very, very good. The air conditioning works really fast. It has such a small cabin to cool off, so at least there's that. And the steering is very, very direct. However, I would say, I think I give the edge to the FRS for the steering feel. That's a personal thing. It's been over a year. 2 years I haven't driven the FRS there. I may be off a little bit, but it seems to me that I liked a little bit more the steering of the FRS. It had a lighty, daintier feel in this car. This one's a bit heavy, the steering. I know some people like that, but with electronic power steering, heavy steering has been kind of like to compensate for lack of feel. Often we have the FRS, despite being electronic power steering, had a lot of feel in it. This cockpit feels like an airplane bathroom. And I'm not saying that as a derogatory statement. Everything is very functional, except everything is very small. The vents are small. The knob on the shifter is small. The space between the gauges and the A-pillar is almost inexistent. There's so much you can do with a 1,100 kilogram car. It's less than 2,500 pounds. How big can you make it? Ross mentions to me that he's a bigger guy than I am, and he says although headroom is fine, leg room and just general size of the interior is a little bit lacking. Though he says there is more room in this model than there was in the previous model. Also, the sound system in this particular model plays loud enough, but is not really audiophile quality. You feel the lightweight in the drive. However, when you look out over the hood, Ross made the excellent point that it looks a lot bigger. The hood is big and there's these big bulges on the left and the right. It looks like a bigger car on the inside when you're looking out of it. Visibility is not the end of the world in back. However, left and right up to like perpendicular to me is fine. Anything behind that it's a mess. What's the final decision about this car? Well, you get what you pay for. Mazda is saying this is a playful, lightweight, well-engineered car. It feels very reassuring in terms of reliability. You can buy this car and I'm sure you can keep it 10-15 years, no problem, with the exception of the maintenance on the intake valves, because this is a direct injection engine and that is coming up over and over again. However, having that said, it's an excellent car and easily recommendable.